Welcome to the Yokoy Academy. In this video, you will learn how to create a receiptless expense in the Yokoy web app. If you have an expense but didn't receive a receipt for it, or maybe lost it, you can create a receiptless expense if this option is enabled for your company. Click on the note icon at the top of the screen in the My Tasks menu or on the left of the navigation bar to open a new receiptless expense form. Rather than having our artificial intelligence automatically complete the expense form after uploading a file, you must fill in every field yourself. If you click outside the form, all your changes will be lost, and you will have to start again. The options available to you depend on your company's configuration and applicable policies, so what you see may differ slightly from what you see in this video. All fields marked with an asterisk are mandatory, and if left blank, you will not be able to submit the expense. Instead, an error message will appear, and the missing required fields will be highlighted in red. Yokoy may displays infos, warnings, and error notifications at the top of the expense to let you know if it violates company policy or contains an error. If a notification is triggered, you can either adjust the expense accordingly or submit it as it is. Manager and finance users can also see these notifications. The first field to fill in is the business purpose or description. Make it clear what this expense is for. Next, select the category of your expense, the country in which it was incurred, and the local currency. Enter the total amount and select the payment date on which the expense was incurred. The current date is always listed in the field by default, so please make sure to adjust it if your expense did not occur on that day. If the currency of the expense differs from your company's currency, the amount will be calculated automatically using the exchange rate on the payment date. Next, select the payment method that you use to pay for the expense. Select Paid Privately if you paid in cash or with your personal bank card and wish to be reimbursed. If you select Company Card, specify which card the transaction occurred on. Depending on your company's policies, you will usually not be reimbursed for the expense, but instead, the amount will be deducted from your company card account. You are automatically selected as a participant by default. If necessary, add the relevant participants to the expense. You can search for Yokoy users from the same company or organization, as well as adding external participants. Add the tax rate for countries from which your company can reclaim VAT. Otherwise, this can be taken care of by a finance user. You may have been assigned a default cost object. If not, select the cost object to which this expense belongs. You can then add more if you want to split the amount between them. Next, add any additional expense categories and define the amount, cost object, and tax rate for each one. Add tags to your expense form to provide more information. If the expense is part of a work trip, select the corresponding trip here. You can only add expenses to a trip if the trip's feature is enabled for your company and if you have created a trip which has not yet been submitted. As you don't have a receipt, it is advisable to provide supporting documents to back up your claim for possible reimbursement. For example, this could be a screenshot of the transaction if you paid for a business-related expense with your personal bank card. Please note that you can only upload 3 additional attachments, each with a maximum size of 5 MB. Only images and PDF files are permitted, unless your company also supports XML files. If an expense has a warning and has been discussed with a manager, or if you wish to provide additional information about the reason for the expense and why the receipt cannot be submitted, leave a comment in the expense history. Once you have filled in all the required information, you will be given the following options for how to proceed. Click Save if you want to save the expense and return to it later. Once you have saved and opened it again, you will also have the option to delete the entire expense. Click Submit if you want to submit the expense. After clicking Submit, your expense will disappear from the My Tasks menu because it will no longer be an open task. You can view your submitted expenses in the Submitter Single Expenses tab. Here you can track them through the approval process. If enabled, you can also recall them to make adjustments. You can now successfully create and submit receiptless expenses in the Yokoy web app. Thanks for watching and have fun exploring Yokoy.